Good morning. Robert is off today. Took a little long weekend. I got my buddy Dan KEEL here.
Good morning.
Matt Parker at the command center. Lots to do this morning. We're going to be talking about criminal justice reform, the governor's big meeting with the president. There were lots of folks in that meeting. We'll have more on that throughout the morning. Also coming up, a resolution for In God We Trust to be put at government buildings. And there's a whistleblower lawsuit filed against the Caddo Animal Shelter. We'll have more on that. Plus, I had a tough day yesterday. We'll start off with that and get it out of the way.
Why not?
It's going to be tough to get through. We'll talk more about that when we get back. Plus, we've got Tim Fletcher Sports coming up and Traffic and Weather Together coming up right here on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The Caddo DA backs criminal justice reform. Matt Parker with that.
In the midst of heavy criticism towards Governor John Bell Edwards and his push for criminal justice reform, Caddo Parish District Attorney James Stewart says the plan is a good idea, but the state needs more resources. Stewart says the bill passed thanks to a bipartisan effort, but for criminal justice reform to really work and make a difference, promised programs need to be implemented. Stewart says that this is not a one-year fix, but could be a long-term solution with community support and adequate funding. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
During his meeting with the president, Governor Edwards celebrated Louisiana's savings of more than $12 million from the first year of the new laws.
I will tell you, in Louisiana, we're proud of the work we've done. It's been sentencing reform, prison reform, and a real focus on reentry.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. The Caddo Commission unanimously passed a resolution to display the phrase, "In God We Trust," at government buildings in the parish. Earlier this year, lawmakers approved a bill that requires public schools and other government buildings in the state to display the motto. No timetable was given for when the national motto will be displayed at Government Plaza. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. Colin Sly is suing the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter. Sly claims that Travis Clark and Parish Administrator Woody Wilson fired him after he brought several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. In the suit, Sly is seeking back pay. He wants to be reinstated and to have the firing taken off his record. Bossier students back in class for day 3. We caught up with Superintendent Scott Smith and asked him about the key to bringing in new teachers and then keeping them.
They are assigned mentors who are also paid and trained to mentor them. And for 3 years, we have a 3-year commitment to them to try to give them the experience of a 20-year plus, an effective 20-year plus teacher within a 3-year period of time.
Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. Anthony Carmody, the brother of State Rep Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of a pool over the weekend. According to police, Carmody was found in the pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding Carmody's drowning death is ongoing. In the Shreveport mayor's race, the focus has been on crime. Local political analyst Scott Hughes tells KEEL News it's been a battle over perception.
Here in Shreveport, crime is technically down, and all we're focused on in social media is the crime. And so that's going to be tagged on the mayor. We haven't seen the big job entity come around. And so I think at the end of the day, what she's guilty of is she's guilty of the people's perception of what's going on.
A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened around 3 a.m. on Fairfax Avenue. Police say the victim was driving when someone opened fire on his vehicle, striking him several times. Witnesses claim they heard up to 20 shots fired during that incident. Several new traffic laws went into effect on August 1st. Among those, stiffer penalties for DWI convictions. Driving consultant Mike Barron says the money is being reinvested into traffic safety.
That money is used by the Louisiana State Applied Technology people to buy more instruments and to buy other supportive instruments that are used in enforcing the DWI laws.
Act 198 levies an additional $50 fine for the use of a breath testing in a DWI conviction, with the increase bringing the price tag up from the original $75 to $125. Player demonstrations took place during the national anthem at some NFL preseason games. 3 players for the Miami Dolphins kneeled during the national anthem. Several players in lots of games stayed in the locker room, which is allowed. Now, there's no word yet on possible fines for those who did take a knee. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Now let's check traffic. Here's the Ruber.
Start things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin in the morning. He is out today. Got my buddy Dan Keel in studio.
Good morning.
I'm kind of glad you're here because and Maddie Parker's at the command center, because you're like the dog attorney whisperer.
Not only that, but I've had Boston Terriers since I was a crib baby.
Yeah, and you've kept Tiger 4 or 5. I don't know how many.
He's come over to the house a few times for boudin barbecue.
He's hung out at your place because you've been one of the gracious friends of mine who've agreed to babysit him while I'm on vacation. I say that to tell you I've got some sad news, and I'm going to be a blubbering idiot today. I had to put Tiger down yesterday, and it was something that came on quick.
Yeah, unexpectedly.
Came on just this week, and the fine folks at Town South Animal Hospital, they've seen Tiger all the time. He loves going over to Camp Cosby. If they take such good care of him, and they've come to love him too. And he was 9.5 years old, so he's too young. Both his parents are still alive. My brother's got, Willie and Irene, who are the parents, and they're very elderly and very ill and struggling. And my brother's struggling with them. But this came on pretty quick, and when I realized yesterday morning, I didn't say anything to Matt or Robert, because I was, I'm thinking this is going to be, we'll fix it. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I knew yesterday morning I had to run and take him to the vet because he'd been not eating since about Sunday, struggling to go to the bathroom, making number one. And yesterday morning he would not get up. When I got up to go to work, he didn't want to get up to go outside. He didn't want to do anything, just wanted to lay there. And the day before, I'd been able to get him to eat some ground beef. And I thought, okay, he's coming back. His appetite's coming back. He's on the mend. Then yesterday morning before I left, I got some more ground beef out, and he wouldn't even move from the chair he's in to come get the ground beef. He wouldn't even eat it when I put it up to his nose.
He wasn't feeling good at all, was he?
He did not want it. So I rushed home yesterday as soon as I could get out of here. I know, Matt, you probably were like, dang, she didn't even make 9 o'clock barely. And called the vet as soon as I left, and I said, I'm on the way. Something's wrong with Tiger. I'm not sure what's the deal. So I got home, wrapped him up in a big blankie, laid him in my front seat, and the whole time I'm talking to him as we're driving to the vet, and I said, we're going to get you fixed up, baby. You're going to be fine. You'll feel better. And we get over there, and they run a few tests, do some blood work, and he's in kidney failure. And we think, and the doctor said, let me do an ultrasound. They drained the bladder because the bladder had gone to about 10 times the size of what it was supposed to be. She said, let me drain, because he wasn't being able to urinate.
Right.
And she drained the bladder, and she said, let me see, we may have a kidney stone, and that may be causing it, and we can fix that up, and he'll be good to go. And she came back in, and she said, Erin, there's no kidney stone. And I can't reverse this. And he's in pain. He's suffering. And I said, I don't want him suffering. And she said, we don't either.
Right.
And so she gave me my options, of what they do, and it's all humanely done. I feel a little bad, Dan, though. Let me ask you this. I didn't want to watch the moment. She said some people do, some people don't.
Right.
So I didn't.
Well, they sedate him in the two-step process. So
Yeah.
you were there to comfort him, to take him there,
Yeah.
to be with him while they sedated him. The fact that you did or did not watch him actually expire is relevant.
Right. And they did give me, they got him cleaned up and brought him to me, and he and I spent a good 30 minutes together talking and me loving on him.
He's your buddy.
It's amazing how they become. You become so attached.
Well,
for
people
the past,
say pets are family. They're little quadruped members of your family.
Yeah, and then to get up this morning, and my whole routine in the morning revolves around him.
Come on.
Yeah, let's go outside. Let's go potty. Then put your food down, and all that, and get you fresh water, and love on you for a minute. He's not there. It's gone. And what I had done yesterday, because he was the puppy I got when my kids were, younger.
Right.
When they were in their early to just approaching teenage years. And so he was their buddy. So I called my son who's in town, and I said, what I was having to do. And he goes, I'll be at the house
when you get home, he was in class, so he couldn't come to the vet. But he said, I'll be at your house as soon as I get out of class.
Right.
And he came over and brought his dog, Bo. He said, I know you want to love on a pooch right now, so here's your grandpuppy. And then he gathered up all of Tiger's things.
Right.
You know, I said, take his food. I know you can use it. And got the bowls and the blankies I was using for him and his toys, and I took all that with him. But, you know, as ornery as, and you know, my dog was ornery.
Well, he was a stinker. There's no doubt about it.
He was the type A. He was in charge of the room.
He was the first one to do number 2 at the dog park.
That's it.
Yeah.
The very first dog to poop at the Shreveport Dog Park. He'll always have that.
He'll have that distinction.
Yeah, he will have that distinction.
And he'll always be in your heart, too, Erin.
Oh,
I miss some of my dogs so terribly. And that's one of the questions I want to ask God when I get to the pearly gates.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't they last longer?
Yeah, that's for sure.
But you've had some great years with him.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll always be alive in your memory. And when you're cleaning house, which I don't know how often you do that, but you're going to find a ball or a toy at some point. You miss something.
You know, and it's odd, Dan, because I posted it on my Facebook, and I got so many great messages. But I've never had to do this before.
Yeah.
It's always been my parents or somebody else that had taken care, or the dog died, naturally, so, or something else happened. But I've never had a vet tell me we have to do this. We got to end this life.
Yeah.
And so it was different. Again, thanks to the folks at Town South Animal Hospital. If you don't have a vet, they're awesome. If you have a great vet, stick with them. But if you're looking for somebody, these folks really are awesome. And I'm gonna miss that little rascal. I'm gonna miss him. And no, I do not want another dog. So don't anybody drop a dog off. I need some time, to decompress and all that. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I've got a friend who's got puppies. I've got the. Not yet. It's too soon for me. So just need a little time.
You got to grieve a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for all the great wishes. And Tiger, my man, you'll be missed, buddy. Oh. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Let's check in with Ruben.
Starting things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zaire.
InnovativeOfficeSystems.net.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Lots of action in the NFL last night. We'll get all the details on that here from Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. New Orleans rallied from a 20-10 fourth quarter deficit to beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the preseason opener for both teams. Taysom Hill, battling Tom Savage for the Saints' backup quarterback spot, connected on 8 of 9 passes for 72 yards and ran 7 times for 52 yards and a score in the second half. Former Razorback Jonathan Williams scored the game-winning touchdown from a yard out with 2:55 to play. Dak Prescott was sharp in his preseason debut, going 3 for 3 for 39 yards and a touchdown in his only series, but San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4:30 to win 24-21. The Houghton alum hit rookie Michael Gallup for a 30-yard score to punctuate the opening drive. Bo Scarborough added a touchdown, and Prescott's backup, Cooper Rush, threw for a score. Houston rode 2 touchdown passes from Brandon Whedon to a 17-10 win over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Texans starter Deshaun Watson came out, played 1 series, completed his only pass for the evening for 4 yards. The NCAA denied an appeal by LSU defensive back Christian Fulton to be reinstated. He was given a 2-year suspension in 2017 for tampering with a drug test. He missed all of last year, but had hoped to join the Tigers this season. Head coach Ed Orgeron released a statement saying he was disappointed by the decision, but that LSU is going to continue to stick by Fulton. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
'1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is off today. Got my pal Dan Keel in studio. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Want to talk to you a little bit about this whistleblower lawsuit filed against Caddo Animal Shelter and Dr. Woody Wilson.
And Travis Clark.
And Travis Clark, the director. You are actually the attorney representing the man who formerly worked at the shelter. Describe what you allege has happened, what's going on, why the lawsuit?
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well on your own with the newscast, and I was looking to see what I can and can't talk about under our rules of professional conduct. We have raised a claim on behalf of Colin Sly, who is a young man who went to work at the animal shelter. He worked there for 5.5 months. He had some problems he brought to the attention of the interim director, Kelvin Samuel, and was sent back down the chain to his immediate supervisor. Nothing happened. Travis Clark came. These are the allegations. Travis Clark came on board, and he brought some things to his attention. Wasn't satisfied. Took it to Dr. Wilson 3 times. And the allegations in the petition state that Dr. Wilson congratulated him, told him he was brave, whatever the language I used in the petition, and thanks for coming forward. And then he had a little conversation, which I can't discuss the merits and all that stuff. I don't want to try the case on media, but he had a conversation with Travis Clark, and that day he was terminated.
What whistleblower items did he allege? I mean, what are things going on? We thought things were being cleaned up there, obviously. Can we discuss that?
That kind of gets into I'm gathering information still. I've been doing that since the young man was let go. There are things that I brought to the attention of the parish commission yesterday in public, which are outside the scope of, because my client didn't sign one. But there was a non-disclosure agreement that's required of the employees back in June when they restarted all this stuff with Travis Clark. And I told the commission yesterday, I don't see how you're going to have a welcoming, open, transparent organization if, A, you have everybody sign a non-disclosure agreement in a public shelter, and B, you can somebody who comes forward.
Right.
So there's a problem there that's a systemic problem. And I told him I think there's an organic problem with the administration all the way up to and including Dr. Wilson. if we're going to keep doing the same thing at the shelter, whether it's Everett Harris or Chuck or Travis or whoever is there, as long as we keep having that camp mentality, we're going to have a problem. And that's what I spoke to the commission yesterday with the permission of and with my client sitting next to me.
Right.
The whistleblower statute is Louisiana Revised Statute 23-967, and also in the Ethics 42:1169. Those are the two legal parameters that deal with the whistleblower issue, and anybody can pull those up and read those. But they require basically an allegation of a violation of law, and we allege that. I don't want to get in that in the radio.
What does your client want? What is the remedy he is seeking?
The main thing, and the statutes provide for return to his job, back pay, and he wants to clear his record. He doesn't want to have this, what he considers and as alleged is a pretextual dismissal on his 19-year-old job history.
Were reasons given for his termination that would merit a term? I mean, were other reasons given, like he wasn't showing up for work?
Oh,
or
no.
What were the reasons written on the paperwork to terminate him?
This kid got a call on the way home, and the petition alleges that he was told that he was taking pictures of minors, and that sounds bad.
Sure.
But the minors that he was taking pictures of were people on a summer work program goofing off.
And how long had he been there, an employee?
About 5.5 months.
Okay.
See, a lot of people think this has all been in the news and been discussed, that we have new cameras, that we have, the whole place is wall-to-wall video coverage, and you can dial in and see what's going on. They don't have that. I'm going to be speaking to commissioners about that as well. My client wants things cured out there. That's the most important thing to him.
Right.
And the commissioners, I think some of them think things have been cured. But when you got people, I call it lollygagging.
Yeah.
And this comes up, because I kind of have to walk a fine line with the lawsuit. But I get cases like this because I handle shelters and I handle animal rights cases and things like that. So
right.
We need to have that place be a welcoming place. I'm a citizen of Caddo Parish, and we all love our pets, and we have a problem here, and there are a lot of pets that are unloved that go there to die. And that's a reality of a public shelter.
Right.
But even with that, you can still be transparent and account for what's going on there, and have people feel like they're appreciated, and that what they do is something they can be proud of, not that they have to hide.
Gotcha.
And Dan, you may not want to talk about this, but just from what I've seen and heard and blah blah blah, is that this gentleman, some of the things he brought to attention is, like you said, some interns goofing off. Hey, I noticed some signage we're supposed to have wasn't up, that type of thing. It wasn't
timekeeping, payroll issues.
Yeah, but it was important stuff to help the shelter. It wasn't just like frivolous claims or minor stuff.
Yeah, this is a nice kid, and he really had a lot of trepidation in doing this.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can go better at any government entity.
Sure.
But out of the 7 or 8 entities that are supervised by Commissioner Wilson, this one's, got to be a pain in his butt.
You bet.
But he wants help fixing it.
Yeah.
And if he wants help from the public and he wants help from people who love animals to work there, they're going to have to do something different.
You bet. We'll talk more about that. The whistleblower lawsuit, it's officially been filed. We'll talk more about it throughout the morning right here, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Right now, here's Ruben.
Starting things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, clouds and some sunshine today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly in the afternoon and evening, high 88 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
information. KEEL News now.
In the midst of heavy criticism towards Governor John Bel Edwards and his push for criminal justice reform, Caddo DA James Stewart says the plan is a good idea, but the state needs more resources. Stewart says the bill passed thanks to a bipartisan effort, but for criminal justice reform to really work and make a difference, promised programs need to be implemented. Stewart says that this is not a one-year fix, but could be a long-term solution with community support and adequate funding. Now, Governor Edwards visited with President Trump to talk about criminal justice reform. One result of the reforms in our state was a major drop in the total prison and supervised population. Louisiana lost one of its more infamous monikers. Now, when Edwards relayed that bit of information, the president perked up.
For the first time in 20 years, I can tell you Louisiana does not have the highest incarceration rate in the nation today. And it's paying dividends for us, and we're reinvesting the savings. Oklahoma.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. Colin Sly is suing the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter, claiming the director, Travis Clark, and parish administrator, Woody Wilson, fired him after bringing several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. This is day 3 for Bossier students. Superintendent Scott Smith telling KEEL News his staff's been busy recruiting teachers.
We're always after the very best, because if we get the best teachers, we know they're going to provide the very best education for our kids.
Now, Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. Anthony Carmody, brother of State Rep Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of a pool over the weekend. According to police, Carmody was found in a pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death is ongoing. His funeral to be held tomorrow at St. John's. A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened on Fairfax Avenue. Officers say the victim was driving when someone opened fire on his vehicle. 3 state troopers who took a side trip to Vegas during former Superintendent Mike Edmondson's tenure and allegedly had themselves a night on the town at the state's expense have had their disciplinary sentences reduced by the Civil Service Commission. Metropolitan Crime Commission President Rafael Goneche says that's highly disappointing.
All they did was weaken the image of that organization in the eyes of the people of Louisiana.
Edmondson's case, meantime, to be heard later this year in federal court. Firefighters battling a wildfire threatening thousands of homes in the foothills south of L.A. that authorities say was intentionally set. Homeowners are wetting their homes, and aircraft turned hillsides red with retardant Thursday as flames came perilously close to some of the homes. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin in the morning. Just a little short segment here. Robert is off today. He'll be back with us on Monday. Dan Keel's here.
Thank God.
Maddie Parker's here. Are you glad
He's
Robert's
glad I'm
gone?
here. He's glad I'm here, clearly.
It's not that I'm glad you're here, per se. I'm glad Robert's not.
Wow. That's cold.
Well,
It's not that I have a problem with Robert. It's just that when I try to do stuff after the show, he occasionally makes things very, very difficult.
Oh, occasionally. Come on, tell the truth.
Okay, so, because we're in Moon and Rush and Hannity and those types of things, and I have to do news, but because of the way they're satellites, you don't exactly get time, so you have to record them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just say, due to Robert's inability to keep his mouth shut, it takes for a 3-minute newscast, it takes about 15 minutes to record each one.
Because Matt will start recording, and then Robert, he'll go play a soundbite. Well, while the soundbite's playing, Robert thinks it's time to talk. Well, Matt's still got the mic hot, and Robert doesn't know. And
Robert and Matt are friends. They actually get along very well off air. But working with Robert sometimes, because he likes to talk all the time.
Yeah.
He did that the week I filled in for Matt's job. He likes to talk to you while you're trying to figure out how to make all these things stitched together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Welcome to my world.
He's like a toddler in first grade that won't shut up during class.
Oh, God,
that's Robert.
But he's got great stories. It's just you need quiet. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, you need quiet at that time, and he doesn't hit. I know. I'm talking sometimes too. But it's mostly him.
He's the 3-year-old that doesn't know how to take a nap during nap time.
Yeah. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the governor goes to see the president and criminal justice reform and all this good stuff. Is Trump really listening to Edwards? And, I'm a little confused by all this. And we're going to have the Secretary of Corrections on later this morning because he was in the meeting too. And he'll kind of fill us in on how it went. But we're going to talk more about that when we get back. Right here, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Right now, let's check traffic with Ruben.
Starting things off looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, clouds and some sunshine today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly in the afternoon and evening, high 88 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
You okay?
Yeah, I'll be all right. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin in the morning. If you're just joining us, it's going to be a little bit rough for me today.
It's not a dancing morning for you.
No, I had to put my tiger down yesterday. So just the weirdest moments, it'll hit me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll think and it'll just hit me. So I want to talk about the governor going to, I think the meeting was held in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And President Trump had, hosted some governors and attorneys general to talk about criminal justice reform. And Governor John Bell was the only Democrat official that was invited, and that was because of the criminal justice reforms that were passed in Louisiana and are now being implemented. Do you think the president's listening to John Bell Edwards at all?
I think President Trump listens to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Would you be surprised if similar reform measures were put in place nationwide? Could that be something that is done?
Well, first of all, reform is always a funny word, but there are some programs that are going on here in Caddo Parish to help people transition and try to reduce the recidivism rates.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the kind of things that the federal government would look at. The governor is talking about taking this money that we've saved over here by not housing people and putting it into programs to rehabilitate them. And the success rate, according to Senator John Kennedy, is about 1 in 4.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 in 4.
Okay.
A 22% recidivism rate right now, but they're forecasting that's within a year.
Mm-hmm.
They're forecasting it to be 50-50 within 5. So there's still going to be a lot of debate and discussion over reform.
Right.
But I think part of the problem, at least in Louisiana, is that they came up with all these great ideas, and when they changed the law, those plans weren't necessarily in place, and programs were, well, we're going to rehabilitate them when we get them out so they can help them get jobs while they get out and the program wasn't available, which might...
I think we created part of our problem because we had a lot of feel-good mandatory sentencing provisions, and whether you like the current DA or the previous DA or the next DA, I think the district attorney ought to have the discretion to decide where the bad guys are, the ones the resources really need to be put on, and then the ones that could be, put you in the halfway house or put you in an after-school program or work program or whatever. There's got to be, between the sheriff and the DA, a lot of cooperation on the local level, and letting people loose is where John Bell's catching heck, because some of these people are turning right around and doing the same or worse things.
That was my question, and I want Matt, if you can pull up because the DA talked about this yesterday, the Caddo DA, but I want to ask you about that recidivism, because I get this question a lot about, are we tracking these folks? These ones that got early release, or these ones that are let out, or their parole is ending early. How much tracking are we doing of them?
Well, I think that's part of the problem that I see in the juvenile justice system, is that they put monitors on young people, and they have probation officers. But if you take them out of the incarceration mode and put them into a street mode where you got to track them, you add the complications of societal interests and things that they're interested in doing, and you have people cutting them off and running here and there and actually committing crimes while they're being tracked.
Right.
So, it's kind of a trade-off. You got to pay one end or the other.
Judge James Stewart, our DA, talked about these reforms yesterday, and he had some interesting comments.
What he said was before the reforms took effect, 4 out of every 10 prisoners reoffended. He thinks if we get all the proper resources in place and programs, that number can be cut in half. And what he really said was that we just have to stay the course. A lot of people who originally signed on need to stay on. It's not a one-year fix. It's not like you snap your fingers and it's going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
It's a long-term deal, and if we stay involved and get the community involved, it will work. You just have to. It's just not like. Some things are immediate turnaround. Some things take a while to develop. And
if you don't have a job, you get out of prison, you don't have a job, and what you did before was easy. It's kind of like being an alcoholic.
Yes.
If you go into a bar as a reformed alcoholic, there's a good chance you're going to, is it fall off the wagon or on that one?
Yeah.
And the same kind of thing is going to happen with people. They're going to go, break it. But what I keep saying is there are some people who think it's cool to steal, who think it's cool to run around and shoot at each other, and that group of people, they really need serious intervention.
And the governor was praising to the president that Louisiana is no longer the incarceration capital of the nation, and the president inquired who is, and he said Oklahoma. But there are some people that say, I'm proud to be the incarceration capital of the nation. We want people locked up that are bad guys.
While we need economics, we need development, we need jobs, we need things to be good for everybody. We have some people who are just no dang good.
Right. And they're just not going to be any good for anybody. You're right. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. We'll take a look at traffic and weather coming up right here on Keel.
Everything's still looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Tim.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. New Orleans rallied from a 20-10 fourth quarter deficit to beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the preseason opener for both teams. Taysom Hill, battling Tom Savage for the Saints' backup quarterback spot, connected on 8 of 9 passes for 72 yards and ran 7 times for 52 yards and a score in the second half. Former Razorback Jonathan Williams scored the game-winning touchdown from a yard out with 2:55 to play. Dak Prescott was sharp in his preseason debut, going 3 for 3 for 39 yards and a touchdown in his only series, but San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4:30 to win 24-21. The Houghton alum hit rookie Michael Gallup for a 30-yard score to punctuate the opening drive. Bo Scarborough added a touchdown, and Prescott's backup, Cooper Rush, threw for a score. Houston rode 2 touchdown passes from Brandon Weeden to a 17-10 win over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Texan starter Deshaun Watson came out, played 1 series, completed his only pass for the evening for 4 yards. The NCAA denied an appeal by LSU defensive back Christian Fulton to be reinstated. He was given a 2-year suspension in 2017 for tampering with a drug test. He missed all of last year, but had hoped to join the Tigers this season. Head coach Ed Orgeron released a statement saying he was disappointed by the decision, but that LSU is going to continue to stick by Fulton. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Get a little sway going.
A little bit. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert off today. Got Dan Keel
I'm
here.
a little off, too.
Matt Parker's here. Anybody watch any NFL last night? Preseason?
I watched a little bit. I found a place online where I could pick and choose what game I want to watch. So I watched a little bit of the Browns to see how Baker Mayfield was going to do. He had a pretty damn good game. Saquon Barkley, the number 1 overall pick.
Okay.
First run in the NFL, busted off 30-plus yards.
Nice.
So,
I hear some players took a knee for the national anthem, Miami players.
2 players from Miami took a knee, and another one kind of stood behind them with his fist
With
up.
the fist thing, they're doing the fisting now.
But I mean, overall, a couple of people stayed in the locker room.
Now, who's going to have to pay a fine? I understand those are now in place. Those fines will be in place.
Well, they have rule. They basically laid down, hey, you keep it up, we're going to do this, but they're still sort of negotiating with the Players Association over price, when they're going to start enforcing it to get people acclimated to the new rules, that type of thing. But honestly, it's they've been doing this for 3 years. Why the hell is it still a story?
Well, national anthem gets people hot and bothered. I mean, it really does when you disrespect the national anthem. It's just something that people now I'm okay with if you want to stay in the locker room for the national anthem. Stay in the locker room. And several did that. I understand there were several players who decided, I'm not coming out for the national anthem.
That's supposedly the only way you can do this without any kind of problems, right?
Yeah. If you come out on the field and show any kind of, disrespect,
Defiance or disrespect,
you can be fined. This is going to end up in court, I'm sure. There's going to be some sort of lawsuit over it. Who knows? But I guess the players' union's been negotiating with it,
Yeah, it's basically going to end up being a whole lot of nothing. I mean,
you think
it's going to be 1 or 2 guys. It's just stuff for people to talk about on the news because there's nothing else going on.
Is that Kaepernick guy playing football yet?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not back. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Rush.
Big battle going on at Harvard, folks. Predominant liberal institution of higher learning. 2 years ago, administrators issued an ultimatum. If single-gender groups like sororities and fraternities, if they didn't open their doors to everybody, to all genders, then members would be shut out of campus leadership positions and would not win postgraduate fellowships, and that is a big deal. Now, the ultimatum came after a report slammed all male groups for deeply misogynistic attitudes. The goal was to stamp out male predation at Harvard. Well, Harvard got tough, and they hit the guys hard. But now it's the female students, the sororities, who are suffering. Last week, a Harvard sorority refused to include men. But they didn't want their members to face any penalties for it. So the National Delta Gamma organization announced that their Harvard chapter just going to quit. They're going to shut down rather than bend and let men in there. So for the time being, freedom of association is taboo at Harvard, especially with members of the same sex. Another example of liberals eating their own. It's very tasty, isn't it?
Did you know that over 90% of male enhancement pills are virtually the same thing that's repackaged, redone over and over again? Why settle for the same old product when you can get something completely different? Something that takes male enhancement into the 21st century. Something that really works. Men, you need to try Noxitril, the explosive, all-natural male enhancement formula that will unlock your performance in the bedroom to a level you could only dream of. Try to imagine Viagra on steroids. Noxitril is so powerful, that's why it took years for it to finally become available to the public without a prescription. So call now and take advantage of our special Noxitril free bottle offer today. Oh yeah, we recommend that you use the Noxitril dose as directed. Think of your partner. We certainly don't want you to overperform in the bedroom.
Call now and find out how to get a free bottle of Noxitril while supplies last. Call 1-800-605-1673. Free bottles for a limited time, so call now. 800-605-1673. That's 800-605-1673.
Everything's still looking nice and clear for your early morning drive to work, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Benton Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. Robert is off today. Got Dan Keel here.
Good morning.
Matt Parker at the controls. Lots to do this hour. We'll have Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc joining us about 7:40 this morning. Going to talk about the criminal justice reforms. Also, another shooting in Shreveport leaves a man critically wounded. We'll have more on that. And a whistleblower lawsuit against the parish administrator and the shelter director. Dan will have more on that this morning, too. And in case you're just joining us, I have some sad news to tell you about this morning. We'll tell you about that coming up in the next few minutes or so. A tough day for moi, and I'll just leave it at that.
You're carrying on.
Otherwise, I'll tear up again. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Tim Fletcher Sports just ahead, and traffic and weather together on the way right here on KEEL.
information. KEEL News now.
Governor John Bel Edwards visited with President Trump in New Jersey to talk criminal justice reform. The reforms have come under fire from two of Edwards' potential opponents. Senator John Kennedy sent a letter to the president ahead of the meeting, warning him not to believe the governor's message. But Edwards stuck to his guns and told the president about what he sees as a major win.
But we are reinvesting the savings into our reentry program and also into victim services. So we're excited about what we're doing. We're looking forward to sharing that with you.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened around 3 a.m. on Fairfax Avenue. Police say the victim was driving when someone opened fire, striking him several times. Witnesses claim they heard up to 20 shots. The man's wounds considered life-threatening. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. We get details on that from Matt Parker.
Colin Sly is suing for wrongful termination from the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter. Sly claims that Travis Clark and Parish Administrator Woody Wilson fired him after bringing several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says that Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. In the suit, Sly is seeking back pay, to be reinstated, and to have the firing taken off his record. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Anthony Carmody, brother of State Representative Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of the pool. According to police, Carmody was found in a pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding Carmody's drowning death is ongoing. His funeral to be held tomorrow at St. John's. Bossier students back in class for day 3. We caught up with Superintendent Scott Smith and asked him about security in Bossier schools.
We now believe that we have the very best safety and security program in our parish than any other district in the state, possibly the nation.
Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. The company chosen by Louisiana to replace thousands of state voting machines estimates the work could cost up to $95 million, significantly larger than prior estimates. Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin's office says Colorado-based Dominion Voting Systems provided that estimate during the bidding process. Previous estimates had been around $60 million. Firefighters battling a wildfire threatening thousands of homes in the foothills south of Los Angeles that authorities now say was intentionally set. And a North Carolina mother says someone broke into her family's home and stole a puppy belonging to her terminally ill 5-year-old daughter. Burlington police say nothing else was stolen during the break-in. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. .101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Linwood Avenue. And we have some traffic delays on Airline Drive just north of Brownlee Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin in the morning. Dan Keel is in for Robert.
There I go.
Who is on taking a little day off today. Maddie Parker is here.
Hello.
Punching the buttons, unless I'm punching.
You got
to
turn on your microphone, Maddie.
My mic's on.
There you go. I couldn't hear you. Got a lot to do this hour. We're going to be joined by Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc at 7:40 to talk about the criminal justice reforms. He was apparently in the meeting with the gov and the president and all the others in the room to talk about criminal justice reform and Louisiana's big changes. Coming up later this morning in the 8 o'clock hour, just past 8, about 8:10, we're going to be joined by Caddo Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Lamar Gorey.
Cool.
First day is Monday. They go back to school, and he'll talk about everything that's ready for the kids and all that good stuff. Then at 8:40, you want to be sure you tune in at 8:40 because this is big. I don't know if you've heard about it yet, but Margaritaville Casino's got some big-time plans. And the general manager, Barry Regula, has agreed to join us this morning to talk about what they're planning for the Bossier side. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, it kind of changes the face of gambling in our community, I'm going to tell you. The others are going to have to step it up because this will be, I think, a game changer.
Is there a migration thing maybe going on?
Yeah, this could be, yeah.
Well, I mean, you hear people talk about, well, we need a big-time feel if you want to draw people away from the Oklahoma casinos and here and there. Well, this is like big boy stuff, like the cabanas and all that stuff.
Don't keep it secret. We're gonna let him unveil it, but it's gonna be big. It really is. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that plan because it could change things. And you know, I've also heard the folks at Diamond Jacks are thinking about moving their casino onto land now that that's allowed. Hearing a lot of talk about what their plans are.
I keep hearing speculation on the Shreveport side. Is that as far as it's going?
Yeah, I've heard
right?
a lot of speculation. I've heard a lot of people say, use Expo Hall. I mean, what are we using it for now? Anything? Expo Hall's there. It'd make a good gambling venue. I haven't heard any of them talking about it. I have heard talk about Diamond Jacks, though Ronnie Jones, the Gaming Control Board chairman, would not name Diamond Jacks because apparently nothing is public yet. But I'm working on that. So I'm working to see what they've got up their sleeve.
Yeah, 3 different casinos submitted plans, I guess, to the board because everything has to get approval. 2 of them made quote-unquote official plans, and the third unnamed one that we're hearing is maybe probably Diamond Jacks didn't officially make their plans. They just kind of said, hey, if we float this, kind of floating it out there type deal.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the Margaritaville, the owner of Margaritaville, because they were just purchased, also owns Boomtown. So you're hearing a lot of people talking about, will their employees, will they kind of commingle? Will there be one works at one boat, I don't know. We'll talk
Are they
going to
have boats? We need to find out about that,
yeah,
too.
And the boats
What's
going to
happen to the boats?
Absolutely can go away. I got to tell you real quick, I don't want to linger on this too long because I'll get upset. But folks who know me, folks close, folks who've seen my Facebook page, Had a tough day yesterday. I had to let my little boy go. And, God, how do you not cry?
Because you care. Of course you're going to cry.
It-
Tiger's a part of your life.
Yeah, Tiger was 9.5 years old, and things came on pretty sudden with him this week, and I'm not going to go into all the detail, but had to put him down yesterday. And I've never had to do that, Dan.
Yeah, it's hard.
I've never had a doctor look at me and say,
It's time.
I can't save him. I think her quote was, I can't save him, and he's suffering.
Right.
And I stopped her. I said, we don't want that. And
Nope.
she said, no, we don't either.
So they sedated him and humanely
I
euthanized him.
wasn't in the room.
Right.
I didn't go in the room even when they sedated him. I said, I just want to spend some time with him
Right.
before you take him
Right.
and love on him and
Tell him goodbye.
Tell him goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, this is so weird. And I took a picture of him. I know that's stupid, but I think you see in his eyes that he knew
It's time, Mama.
it's time to let go.
Yeah.
And you can see, and this is, I'm not exploiting my dog, but I just want you to see, it's at KEELnews.com, because I have some pictures of him when he was, because I got him when he would fit in your hand.
Yeah. Oh,
My
yeah.
brother had him. My brother had mom and dad, still has mom and dad. So there's a picture of him just brand newborn. I mean, brand newborn. And then there's a picture of him with that big tiger smile he put on. And then the picture I took of him yesterday. And you can see he was ready to go. And, you know, you knew Tiger. You babysat Tiger.
Tiger used to come to the house.
Yeah, Tiger was type A.
He ran the place when he came over.
I had a coworker who kept him for me, Barbara, God bless her. She
has a house full of Boston Terriers sometimes.
She loves Boston Terriers. Yep. And she said, I'd get Tiger over with mine. She said, I'd have to put yours down on the floor and hold him down and let the others come sniff on him so that he knew he wasn't the type A in the house. That this wasn't his house.
He wasn't the alpha dog
He
there.
wasn't the alpha dog in the house, that the others were in charge, and he had to kind of follow their lead. She says, if I didn't do that, he thought he was the boss, and he was going to order everybody around and get into trouble. Tiger was such a fun little guy. I remember vividly my oldest son could pick Tiger up and put him upside down with his back laying on my son's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And he trusted this kid so much that my son could let go of him. And he would lay on his shoulder upside down.
I've never seen that.
It was the weirdest thing. And now he wouldn't in his later years, but when
Right.
he was younger, because the son moved away and he wasn't the regular. I mean, I was the regular.
Right.
But I'll tell you one story real quick. When I was going through my remodel of the house, my construction guys would get there and they knew, you know, they had a key to get in the house when I wasn't there. And so they would come and go, and they would say, he is the best dog when you're not here. But when I would walk in the door and anyone came within 4 feet of me, he would literally, Dan, he would bite them.
Mm-hmm.
He would attack their feet. Thank God they wore boots, because he was biting them. If they were within 4 feet of me,
They didn't belong there, according to him.
they are too close to his mama. They need to get away. And they laughed at it. They said, he is the sweetest. He doesn't even budge when we come in the morning. He just chills out. But you walk in the door, he goes ballistic. So he was protective. I mean, he was very protective or jealous. I'm not sure what it was. But I'm going to miss that little coot. I really am. I woke up this morning and I'm ready for my routine with him. Let's go outside. Let's get your food. And don't have to do it anymore.
Hey, speaking of routine, I'm supposed to tell you a phone number in case you want to call and
yeah.
chime in. 318-392-1884, the Shreveport Security Systems text line.
Yes. Thank you very much. We appreciate you doing that. And then you can text us anything, good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't matter. I want to ask a couple of questions, too. Hearing some talk about type A flu that's popping up here locally. If you have some information about that, text us about that as well, because hearing some problems with that, particularly among youngsters. So let us know if you know anything about that as well. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Right now, let's check in with our buddy Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Linwood Avenue. And we have some traffic delays on Airline Drive just north of Brownlee Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Clouds and some sunshine today with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, mainly in the afternoon and evening, high 88 degrees. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Right now, let's check in with Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. New Orleans rallied from a 20-10 fourth quarter deficit to beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the preseason opener for both teams. Taysom Hill, battling Tom Savage for the Saints' backup quarterback spot, connected on 8 of 9 passes for 72 yards and ran 7 times for 52 yards and a score in the second half. Former Razorback Jonathan Williams scored the game-winning touchdown from a yard out with 2:55 to play. Dak Prescott was sharp in his preseason debut, going 3 for 3 for 39 yards and a touchdown in his only series, but San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4:30 to win 24-21. The Houghton alum hit rookie Michael Gallup for a 30-yard score to punctuate the opening drive. Bo Scarborough added a touchdown, and Prescott's backup, Cooper Rush, threw for a score. Houston rode 2 touchdown passes from Brandon Weeden to a 17-10 win over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Texan starter Deshaun Watson came out, played 1 series, completed his only pass for the evening for 4 yards. The NCAA denied an appeal by LSU defensive back Christian Fulton to be reinstated. He was given a 2-year suspension in 2017 for tampering with a drug test. He missed all of last year, but had hoped to join the Tigers this season. Head coach Ed Orgeron released a statement saying he was disappointed by the decision, but that LSU is going to continue to stick by Fulton. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
1017 FM, 710 Keel, Robert and Erin in the morning. Dan Keel is in for Robert. Thank
Good morning.
you for coming in.
My pleasure. Short notice, we made it work.
Matt Parker is here with us at the controls. Our Shreveport Security Systems text line.
318-392-1884.
Before we talk about the flu, I want to read this. Just got this. This is so sweet. Erin, you've made me scream and throw things at the radio many times, but this is the first time you've made me cry. It's never easy, but it's even worse when it's unexpected. I've had to deal with this many, many times. Just take comfort in knowing that Peanut, Scruffy, Dolly, I'm going to mispronounce this one, Bocce, and many others are waiting for Tiger over the Rainbow Bridge. That's so sweet. Thank you for the text and all the love. I want to get serious on something else right now because I got a text from someone who kind of is in the know about type A flu maybe in the region. And it's not confirmed, but I understand at least one daycare has had 10 confirmed cases this week. Type A flu, is that the bad kind? What is this flu?
All I've been able to find is that it's the one that's hosted by wild aquatic birds.
Okay.
But I can't really find much. And I'm looking at the CDC site. This stuff is all highly technical, just really weird stuff.
I know. I was reading about this the other day. The birds are then bitten by mosquitoes, and then the mosquitoes bite a human, and that may be how it's carried.
That's what I was trying to find, and I'm not seeing it. Because I wonder, how does it get from bird? If it's bird flu, how do people get it?
I think it's through mosquitoes. I may be wrong.
Yes.
But it really is important right now, because I noticed in sitting outside the last couple of nights, the mosquitoes are out there big time, and you really got to put that DEET on, especially now we're starting to hear about the flu, because that can be really nasty. But 10 kids at one daycare center seems like a lot of cases, I would assume. I have reached out to some local pediatricians to find out, are they seeing the cases? Type A is not deadly. I mean, it's treatable. You go through the flu protocol and all that, but you're still going to be sick.
Some people, have problems with flu, being conjunctivitis, upper respiratory tract symptoms, but these are all different strains. So until we figure out from the doctors which one is going around, if indeed any is.
Right, exactly.
But this year, to try to prevent outbreaks, Caddo Parish schools are offering free flu shots for students.
Really?
We can talk to Lamar about that when we have him on the phone at 8. But last year they had a lot of problems throughout the year with having to close campuses because of the outbreaks and stuff. So this year, to try to prevent that, they're offering free flu shots.
Okay. So if you know anything about the flu outbreak that's apparently hitting our area, we're getting reports that it is. It's not confirmed at this point, but we'll call the health unit as soon as they open up, try to figure it out. You can send us a text on the Shreveport Security Systems text line,
318-392-1884.
Yeah, and we'll try to get the information
I'm
out.
reading about whale flu and swine flu.
Whale flu.
Yeah, you got me off on a
You're
tangent.
on a flu tangent this morning. Do you get a flu shot? Are you an anti-flu shot guy? Or are you
I'm not an anti-flu shot guy. I've gotten the flu shot in the past. There was a period of time when I was really close every day with some elderly people.
Right.
And I didn't want to take a chance of getting sick and getting them sick and them have them die on me.
Sure.
But I kind of come and go. It depends.
I get the shot every year, and they come in and give me the shot because I'm not a real big needle person, so I can't look at the needle and all that.
I'd be happy to, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I go to the doctor and get it. Sometimes I go to the pharmacy.
Right.
Sometimes I just don't.
Yeah, and when will it start being available? I assume now's the time.
I think I've seen signs.
Have you seen some signs?
Yard sign things, a little political.
Because you can get flu shots. I mean, I think you can get them at Walmart.
You can get flu shots. You can get shingles shots. You can get pneumonia shots. I mean, it's like everything you could think of now.
Wow.
And they've got the little signs that are like politicians have.
Exactly.
Out in front of the drugstore.
Exactly. Well, I'm a big proponent of getting the flu shot, especially for young folks and elderly folks, because if you're elderly and you get the flu, it can wipe you out. I mean, it can really lay you up for weeks and weeks, and in some cases can be deadly. Because you could develop pneumonia, you could end up having to be in the hospital. Big proponent of getting the flu shot. I'm just hoping the shot this year fights against all the strains, because we've had those in the past where flu shot was good for most of the strains, but it doesn't work against that one strain, and that's the one we end up getting. Anyway, lots of talk about type A flu maybe arriving in the local area. We'll have more on that coming up. Plus, 7:40, Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc joins us. We're going to talk about criminal justice reform in Louisiana. Is it working? Is it something the nation should model? Is it going to save money? Is it going to help the overburdened system?
Is it going to stop crime?
Yeah, that's the big question. That's all coming up right here on 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Right now, here's Ruby.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at that backed-up traffic on Benton Road southbound just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
In the midst of heavy criticism towards Governor John Bel Edwards and his push for criminal justice reform, Caddo DA James Stewart says the plan is a good idea, but the state needs more resources. Stewart says the bill passed thanks to a bipartisan effort, but for criminal justice reform to really work and make a difference, promised programs need to be implemented. Stewart says that this is not a one-year fix, but could be a long-term solution with community support and adequate funding. Now, Governor Edwards visited with President Trump to talk about criminal justice reform. One result of the reforms in our state was a major drop in the total prison and supervised population. Louisiana lost one of its more infamous monikers. Now, when Edwards relayed that bit of information, the president perked up.
For the first time in 20 years, I can tell you Louisiana does not have the highest incarceration rate in the nation today. And it's paying dividends for us, and we're reinvesting the savings. Oklahoma.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. Colin Sly is suing the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter, claiming the director, Travis Clark, and parish administrator, Woody Wilson, fired him after bringing several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. This is day 3 for Bossier students. Superintendent Scott Smith telling KEEL News his staff's been busy recruiting teachers.
We're always after the very best, because if we get the best teachers, we know they're going to provide the very best education for our kids.
Now, Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. Anthony Carmody, brother of State Rep Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of a pool over the weekend. According to police, Carmody was found in a pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death is ongoing. His funeral to be held tomorrow at St. John's. A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened on Fairfax Avenue. Officers say the victim was driving when someone opened fire on his vehicle. 3 state troopers who took a side trip to Vegas during former Superintendent Mike Edmondson's tenure and allegedly had themselves a night on the town at the state's expense have had their disciplinary sentences reduced by the Civil Service Commission. Metropolitan Crime Commission President Rafael Goneche says that's highly disappointing.
All they did was weaken the image of that organization in the eyes of the people of Louisiana.
Edmondson's case, meantime, to be heard later this year in federal court. Firefighters battling a wildfire threatening thousands of homes in the foothills south of L.A. that authorities say was intentionally set. Homeowners are wetting their homes, and aircraft turned hillsides red with retardant Thursday as flames came perilously close to some of the homes. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Don't you do some whoops or something during this one?
No, probably not today. Probably 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert's out. Dan Keel is here.
Good morning.
Matt Parker is at the controls. We're going to have Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc joining us in just a couple of minutes. He is on hold. He was a part of the meetings in New Jersey with the president. Want to ask you guys, because it seems like football season's here too quick, but I watched none of it. But I am hearing about, Associated Press had a piece that there were several protests at the preseason games. And all I can find is that there were a couple or 3 Miami players who knelt during the national anthem.
I saw one of these fist things.
Okay. Are you okay? I know none of us like people kneeling for the national anthem. Are you okay with it if they're going to pay a fine? Like, I know I'm going to pay a $5,000 fine if I kneel for the national anthem, and that's going to go to some charitable group.
I'm not into the quarter jar if you curse thing. That just
no, shouldn't do it.
Either tell them don't do it, or tell them that they have a right to do it. But
what I don't understand, and I don't want to talk a whole lot of sports, but I don't understand how they don't get that the more they do this, the more they're driving their core audience away.
They are appealing to some people that I would call their constituents. Some people like it, think they're standing up, against the man or whatever it is.
But don't they see the numbers dwindling in terms of butts in seats and
that's
people
the thing.
watching?
You have a First Amendment right to express yourself, but doesn't mean you have a First Amendment right for everybody to like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc is next. Going to talk about that criminal justice reform meeting the president held. Lots of folks sitting around that table want to hear kind of inside scoop, inside baseball. That's coming up next right here on 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Right now, traffic. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at that backed-up traffic on Benton Road, southbound, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is on vacay. Dan KEEL is here.
Hey.
We got Corrections Secretary Jimmy LeBlanc standing by. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you got?
Good. You were in the meeting at the round table with the president, Governor John Bel Edwards, and others to talk about.
Well, let me clear that up. I actually we did. They only allow one person to travel to come to the meeting to begin with the governors.
Okay.
And when we got there, they actually only allowed the governor and the rest of the governors, the attorney generals that were there, Jerry Kishner and a couple other people, staff people for the president. So, but after I was able to, they had a dinner after, and everybody went to the dinner, but the president didn't come to the dinner, but everybody else did, and the meeting kind of continued on from, the conversation continued at dinner, which was very interesting. But I did, on the way home, have an opportunity to talk to the governor, obviously, and it was a great meeting. I mean, from my perspective, Erin, and I'm maybe talking too long here, but, I mean, to sit down at a table with all Republicans except for the governor, to hear them talking about sentencing reform in their states and the things that Jared Kushner and Ivanka are pushing with the president on that, I think the bill that's in, I think it's the select bill that's in Congress right now, and having good support on the House side and really good support on the Senate side. So, and a lot of things in that bill, we're right on track with doing what's in that bill. So, I was excited to hear that. Talking about banning the box, and you're talking about 4 governors that are real conservative governors having that conversation with the president's staff. So a very good meeting. I was excited about what happened and the results of it.
Jimmy, are they talking about reforming at a federal level the federal crimes, the federal incarceration, or are they trying to make something kind of uniform for the states following maybe what we're doing here?
Well, they talking about at the federal level, but their goal is that states would follow what they're doing. And my point on saying that is that when we looked at that bill, actually I made some talking points for the governor, and I put under each section of that bill what we are already doing that is in relation to what they're trying to do. It's probably more related to prison reform. But last night, or yesterday evening, there was a lot of talk about sentencing reform and what can we do there. Jobs is a big thing, and the president is very adamant about second chances, that he believes that, the people in our jail system need an opportunity when they get out and that's his bottom line. He thinks they need a second chance, and we need to establish a system that provides that.
How much did the president ask the governor or talk to the governor about what is happening in Louisiana, and what did he seem most interested in?
That's a good question. Basically, I think he's the question is our prison population is down, and he was inquiring about that, and everybody focuses in on that November 1st release, but look, there are a lot less people coming back to prison now. I mean, it's in a neighborhood of somewhere between 6 and 1,000 a year less coming back into our system, which means success. And so he was able to talk about that. He's able to talk about some of the things we're doing, not only in our prison system, but in probation and pro with compliance credits, using that as a tool. Very interesting. I mean, I can tell that he likes our governor. He supports our governor. He thinks that we're doing a good job down here, and definitely wants to hopefully it might get to come to Louisiana to visit Angola. That was handed to him. We'll see. I'm not sure they'll let a president come to a maximum security prison, but maybe Jerry Kushner will come and we'll get a visit, and they can see the good things that we're doing at Angola for our reentry effort.
Senator Kennedy sent him a letter prior to the meeting saying that, this was not a success in Louisiana, that he shouldn't buy what the governor was selling. Your reaction to that letter and the governor's reaction?
Well, yeah, he said a lot of different things, actually, and the letter he sent, I mean, it's really a little embarrassing, I think, for our state for him to send something like that. But look, one of the things that really came to mind last night in listening to the Republican groups talk is that I'm not sure that he's really in touch with his party, with the president. I mean, that's the results I get there, but to say that it's failed is ludicrous. It hasn't really started. I mean, give it an opportunity. And he's calling, I'll mad me basically that I'm incompetent. And look, I don't know the man. I've never sat down with him. I would love to have the opportunity for him to quiz me on what my feelings are about our criminal justice system and what my intentions are, our intentions are. But I've never had that opportunity. And for him to say that about our department is really wrong. I mean, I got a lot of hard-working people in this department that are doing some really good things, and for him to say things like that is just, without at least giving us an opportunity, I think it's ludicrous.
We're talking to Jimmy LeBlanc, Corrections Secretary. Our DA yesterday talked to members of the media about this criminal justice reform, saying that it is a long-term plan, don't expect changes overnight, but that we do need more resources for those who are being released. We do need to get them more help. Is that on the way, and how soon?
It is on the way. And, well, I have, in fact, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be in the Joint Legislative Committee of Budget making our presentation for the carry forward for the, actually it's $8.2 million that we'll be able to reinvest. And Caddo Parish is one of those 5 parishes that we're going to reinvest in. And we have an RFP that's out there. I read on my trip up there and back, I was able to read the questions from the people that are interested in bidding on the RFP for our community side of our reinvestment. A lot of interested parties out there from all 5 parishes, and we're excited about the opportunity to see what they're going to propose in our communities to help with treatment, with
Any idea
health.
what they're going to do here already? Or what's no plan yet?
I don't. One of the things, guys, on the DOC side on the investment is investing in our local jails to increase the programming. All the people that the DAs have talked about getting rearrested, the high-profile stuff, and when you look at those guys, they were only in parish jails, never went through a reception process, never got diagnosed. There's a lot of things that happen, and that's what's wrong with our system. We have got to change, and I don't mean not house them at the local level, but improve the programming opportunity at the local level. So like, for example, East Baton Rouge, Caddo, I'm coming up into this month to meet with all of the players in Caddo. That's my last stop. I've been to the other 4 parishes. But to give you an example, East Baton Rouge, they had 1,700 people return to them in 2017 from 98 different local jails. Now, that's chaos. Mm-hmm. We have got to concentrate housing in fewer facilities, and increase the per diem in those facilities where they can provide the programming before they return to your community. And that's what the goal is, and that's what our goal is on the DOC side.
Jimmy, let me ask you, the big question I get about this from folks who are very conservative is, what are we doing and how are we tracking these folks? Are you doing, detailed tracking of the people that get out early, and how is that information being disseminated?
We submitted an annual report, our first annual report, and it has all the details in there of all the tracking. Everything that we're going to be tracking is very detailed. Those coming back to prison, those in prison, those leaving prisons, those revocating. I mean, we have some detail, and Pew helped us with this. So we're going to be this is the performance-based stuff. If the people that we contract with aren't performing, then they won't continue the contract. And we'll have performance measures once we know what they are. But we have a tracking, and actually it's required by law. In the bill that allotted the money to us, it also says this is what you have to track. And recidivism obviously is a big part of that. I mean, if they get out and they're coming back, why are they coming back? And they shouldn't have come back, and what can we do to improve that? So there are a lot of other different things, though, that we're going to be tracking. That report, I'm not sure if it's online with us yet or not. It is. It's on our website for people that might be interested.
Wonderful. Well, we will definitely share that. And, Jimmy, I hope you'll join us when you come up to Caddo later in the month. We'd love to have you in studio with us.
We have some great questions about after you learn here what goes on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's do that. Ken's sitting here with me. We'll make that arrangement with you guys. I'll come in and visit.
Wonderful. Jimmy LeBlanc, Corrections Secretary. Thanks so much for your time, sir.
All right, Erin. Thank you guys for having me.
1017 FM 710 Keel. Right now it's time to check in with Ruben and our traffic.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at that backed-up traffic on Benton Road southbound just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM 710 Keel. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. New Orleans rallied from a 20-10 fourth quarter deficit to beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the preseason opener for both teams. Taysom Hill, battling Tom Savage for the Saints' backup quarterback spot, connected on 8 of 9 passes for 72 yards and ran 7 times for 52 yards and a score in the second half. Former Razorback Jonathan Williams scored the game-winning touchdown from a yard out with 2:55 to play. Dak Prescott was sharp in his preseason debut, going 3 for 3 for 39 yards and a touchdown in his only series, but San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4:30 to win 24-21. The Houghton alum hit rookie Michael Gallup for a 30-yard score to punctuate the opening drive. Bo Scarborough added a touchdown, and Prescott's backup, Cooper Rush, threw for a score. Houston rode 2 touchdown passes from Brandon Whedon to a 17-10 win over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Texan starter Deshaun Watson came out, played 1 series, completed his only pass for the evening for 4 yards. The NCAA denied an appeal by LSU defensive back Christian Fulton to be reinstated. He was given a 2-year suspension in 2017 for tampering with a drug test. He missed all of last year, but had hoped to join the Tigers this season. Head coach Ed Orgeron released a statement saying he was disappointed by the decision, but that LSU is going to continue to stick by Fulton. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is off. I've got my buddy Dan Keel in studio.
Just a little off.
Can you, after 8 o'clock, Dr. Lamar Gorey is going to join us at 8:10.
Right.
But then at 8:20, I want to talk to you a little bit, or 8:22-ish, somewhere in there, about this whistleblower lawsuit.
You want me to walk the tightrope again?
Yeah, if you can, because you actually are the attorney who filed the suit, correct?
Right.
And it was a former employee of the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter who alleges he was fired because he was shining a spotlight on some wrongdoing.
Trying to fix some things.
Well, I'm going to get you to talk a little bit about that with us coming up at about 8:22 this morning, because I care a lot about how that was handled, and are changes being made at the animal shelter,
and
what's
are they
going
good
on?
ones?
Yeah,
Right.
and are they good ones? And are people being penalized because they're blowing the whistle?
I spoke yesterday at the commission. I'm just concerned that if we're going to have a welcoming, open shelter, we're going to have to send a different message to the people who work there, and you can't have those people feeling they have enough pressure on them already, dealing with the things they have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, he'll join us. Also in the 8 o'clock hour, 8:40, Barry Regula, the general manager of the Margaritaville Casino. Big plans for the gambling community in Bossier. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear the plans and let him lay it all out for us. That's all coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Chock full of stuff right here on 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Here's Sean.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
By the way, there is a Newsbusters article about how the media are blaming climate change for California wildfires, but of course ignoring forestry policy and land use factors. You know, of course, first it was global cooling. The ice age is coming. That was in the 70s. Then it was global warming, and that didn't work out so well with the statistics. Then they just say climate change. Well, if it's hot, it's where our fault as human beings. If it's cold, our fault. It's capitalism's fault.
The planet has a fever.
Yeah, it has a fever. Crazy, insane politicians like Al Gore. Every single presidential candidate that loses, they go nuts. They all think they're going to win. You know who else goes nuts? The people that ran their campaigns. They go nuts, too, because they can't believe they lost.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
What interest rate would you rather pay on your credit card debt? 17% or less than 6% APR? The answer is obvious, Lightstream. Because with Lightstream, you may be able to consolidate credit card debt and dramatically cut your interest rate to as low as 5.89% APR with AutoPay. Plus, radio listeners get an additional rate discount. Just go to lightstream.com/better. With average interest rates on credit card debt at 17% APR, Lightstream could save you thousands in interest. And because Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, one of the nation's largest and strongest financial institutions, you can have complete peace of mind. The application takes just minutes, and there are no fees and no pressure. Just lower rates, one low fixed monthly payment, and huge savings. So if you have good credit, apply today and get a special interest rate discount when you go to lightstream.com/better. That's lightstream.com/better. Lightstream.com/better.
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more information.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at that backed-up traffic on Fenton Road, southbound, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning, Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is off today. I got Dan KEEL here.
Not the Robert.
Maddie Parker is in studio. He's running the controls. Lots to do this hour. We're going to have Superintendent Dr. Lamar Gorey joining us in about 8 minutes to talk about opening of schools in Caddo Parish. Coming up at 8:40. If you are involved at all in the gambling world, you do not want to miss our convo with Barry Regula. He's the general manager of Margaritaville. They have some big-time plans. Going to change the face of gambling in our community. Coming up in the local news, we'll talk about the tragic death of a local man found in a swimming pool. A little bit more on the mayor's race and what's the focus been. And also going to talk about that whistleblower lawsuit involving the Caddo Animal Shelter. That's all coming up right here on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
information. KEEL News now.
The Caddo DA backs criminal justice reform. Matt Parker with that.
In the midst of heavy criticism towards Governor John Bell Edwards and his push for criminal justice reform, Caddo Parish District Attorney James Stewart says the plan is a good idea, but the state needs more resources. Stewart says the bill passed thanks to a bipartisan effort, but for criminal justice reform to really work and make a difference, promise programs need to be implemented. Stewart says that this is not a one-year fix, but could be a long-term solution with community support and adequate funding. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
During his meeting with the president, Governor Edwards celebrated Louisiana's savings of more than $12 million from the first year of the new laws.
I will tell you, in Louisiana, we're proud of the work we've done. It's been sentencing reform, prison reform, and a real focus on reentry.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. The Caddo Commission unanimously passed a resolution to display the phrase, "In God We Trust," at government buildings in the parish. Earlier this year, lawmakers approved a bill that requires public schools and other government buildings in the state to display the motto. No timetable was given for when the national motto will be displayed at Government Plaza. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. Colin Sly is suing the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter. Sly claims that Travis Clark and Parish Administrator Woody Wilson fired him after he brought several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. In the suit, Sly is seeking back pay. He wants to be reinstated and to have the firing taken off his record. Bossier students back in class for day 3. We caught up with Superintendent Scott Smith and asked him about the key to bringing in new teachers and then keeping them.
They are assigned mentors who are also paid and trained to mentor them. And for 3 years, we have a 3-year commitment to them to try to give them the experience of a 20-year plus, an effective 20-year plus teacher within a 3-year period of time.
Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. Anthony Carmody, the brother of State Rep Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of a pool over the weekend. According to police, Carmody was found in the pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding Carmody's drowning death is ongoing. In the Shreveport mayor's race, the focus has been on crime. Local political analyst Scott Hughes tells KEEL News it's been a battle over perception.
Here in Shreveport, crime is technically down, and all we're focused on in social media is the crime. And so that's going to be tagged on the mayor. We haven't seen the big job entity come around. And so I think at the end of the day, what she's guilty of is she's guilty of the people's perception of what's going on.
A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened around 3 a.m. on Fairfax Avenue. Police say the victim was driving when someone opened fire on his vehicle, striking him several times. Witnesses claim they heard up to 20 shots fired during that incident. Several new traffic laws went into effect on August 1st. Among those, stiffer penalties for DWI convictions. Driving consultant Mike Barron says the money is being reinvested into traffic safety.
That money is used by the Louisiana State Applied Technology people to buy more instruments and to buy other supportive instruments that are used in enforcing the DWI laws.
Act 198 levies an additional $50 fine for the use of a breath testing in a DWI conviction, with the increase bringing the price tag up from the original $75 to $125. Player demonstrations took place during the national anthem at some NFL preseason games. 3 players for the Miami Dolphins kneeled during the national anthem. Several players in lots of games stayed in the locker room, which is allowed. Now, there's no word yet on possible fines for those who did take a knee. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. 1017 FM 710 Keel. Right now, here's Ruben.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at that backed-up traffic on Benton Road, southbound, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.1017 FM 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. I've got Dan Keel in for Robert, who's on vacay.
Good morning.
Superintendent Dr. Lamar Gorey, Caddo Parish Schools. I know you're a busy man. I can't believe you squeezed us in this morning. Thank you, sir.
Oh, it's my pleasure to squeeze you in. It's been a long, busy summer. I hadn't talked to you very much. Hope all's well.
It really has. Monday, it's back to school for Caddo students. What's new for this year? Do you have anything at the top of your list?
Wow, well, there's several things that are happening. We're really excited about welcoming our, 40,000 plus families back to school on Monday. The students are going to return, of course, to a school system that has certainly been sensitive to security and have certainly made some adjustments to ensure that we are as secure as possible in the respect that parents and students will find an increased access to mental health and behavior supports, as well as we've increased our armed police officers on our campuses. Also really excited about rolling out our new Tier 1 curriculums. These curriculums have been, vetted by the state and have been proven to truly be a key part of what we'll need to take our students to the next level. And I just want to thank our teachers for giving so much of their time this summer to receive additional training so that the implementation will be as smooth as possible.
You've downsized the school system over the past several years. Let me ask you, do you anticipate anything like that, any more of that happening in the next few years, or any changes like that ahead?
What I'll say is that, over the last 13 years, we've certainly closed probably near 15 to 16 buildings. One thing you've seen in the last few years, we've made consolidations as well. So, excuse me, Erin. In our strategic plan, though, the plan now is to look at all of our vacant facilities in the next year and how we can sell those, how can we repurpose those, and making sure that we're doing things that brings value to the community. So we're really looking at our inventory now of the vacant properties and trying to ensure that we're bringing value to those properties. At the same time, we have capital projects in excess of $20 million, and so much of that's been covered with AC because of our aging fleet of schools. So that conversation around how do we provide our students with the very best educational environment, I do think that will be something that we'll talk about in 24 months. But I think next year will be about dealing with the facilities that we have. We have quite a few on the market now if you're looking for a new house.
Let me ask you, next year is going to be different. You and I have talked about this individually. The scoring of our schools is changing.
Right.
And can you boil that down so that the average Joe like me can understand what the state is changing? Because you're anticipating most, if not all, schools will see lower letter grades based on the changes, correct?
What I will tell you is that what we are, what the layman term that we talk to is that, let's say you're taking a test, and today you make a 90% on the test, but the teacher decides to grade it differently, and for the exact same answers, you make a 75 on the test. So, and that's kind of what the state has done. They've looked at how they're grading the test, and that's what has changed. So for the same answers that you would have gotten maybe a A or a B for last year, you now could very easily get a C or a D or an F. I will tell you that our preliminary data, we're very encouraged with some of the preliminary things, and the only thing we have now are raw scores. We're encouraged. We're still very optimistic, and we really do need the community to know that the state has made a big change. What I promise you, though, is that we will continue to work hard every day, and just like every other time they've made changes, we will meet the mark. But again, this year, the community will need to be aware that this is a baseline year because the grading of the assessments have changed.
We have had some schools that were not making the grade before. Are we in jeopardy still of the state taking over some Caddo schools?
You only have 2 schools in the Caddo Parish of our entire fleet of 62 schools. You only have 2 schools that are eligible for state takeover. Our work in the transformation zone was extremely effective, where we did see 8 of those 10 schools come off of that eligible for state takeover list. So there are only 2 schools today that the state could even have the conversation around.
And which ones are those?
That would be Atkins and Queensboro.
And you're making efforts to turn that around, right?
Absolutely. That's what we do every day, Erin.
Okay, switching gears for just a minute, getting calls and texts this morning about type A flu outbreak, and I'm understanding that schools are now going to be offering flu shots. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct, Erin. We've partnered with CareDocs, and we will offer the opportunity for all employees as well as children to have a flu shot. Of course, that will be a family decision, but we're very concerned with the number of times last year that we had to close entire schools because of the number of students infected with the flu virus. So we're certainly taking every effort to prevent that from happening. We believe in support. You have to be there and present to really grow academically. So we're really taking advantage of this opportunity to support families in this vaccine so that we can see less occurrences of the flu in our schools. Okay,
your buddy Scott Smith rode on an unair conditioned bus to school the other day, Wednesday, for opening day. Are you riding the bus Monday? And do we have any unair conditioned buses left in Caddo?
Yeah, absolutely. When you have a fleet of 350 buses, you're going to have some that don't have air conditioning. Of course, all the ones we're buying and replacing them with do have air conditioning. Probably we won't ride a bus to school on Monday, but look forward to seeing you and any interested citizen at Captain Shreve for our ringing of the bell ceremony. That's our official kickoff of the school year, and that's at 9 o'clock at Captain Shreve High School. We're going to do it pep rally style and really kick off an amazing school year in Caddo Parish.
Staffing, how are we on getting all the right teachers in all the right places?
Progress is being made. We welcomed over 200-plus new teachers. There are people in HR right now processing paperwork. We do anticipate improvements in that area, but that still is one of those things that keep you up at night, is really having the talent here, and that's something that we as a community have to continue to work toward. And we're certainly putting things in place as a district to decrease the number of long-term subs that we have in the classroom.
Superintendent Dr. Lamar Gorey, Caddo Parish Schools, thanks so much, and good luck Monday morning. I know it's going to be a busy day.
It's going to be a fun day, though, Erin, okay?
You bet. Thank you, Doc.
Okay, see you around.
You bet. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Coming up at 8:40, Barry Regula, the general manager of Margaritaville Resort and Casino, is joining us. Next, we're going to talk about that whistleblower lawsuit involving the Caddo Animal Shelter. That is coming up. Right now, though, here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some minor slowdowns at the intersection of Uri Drive and East Kings Highway, and we're still keeping a close eye on that heavy backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Lots of action in sports. Here's Timmy.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. New Orleans rallied from a 20-10 fourth quarter deficit to beat Jacksonville 24-20 in the preseason opener for both teams. Taysom Hill, battling Tom Savage for the Saints' backup quarterback spot, connected on 8 of 9 passes for 72 yards and ran 7 times for 52 yards and a score in the second half. Former Razorback Jonathan Williams scored the game-winning touchdown from a yard out with 2:55 to play. Dak Prescott was sharp in his preseason debut, going 3 for 3 for 39 yards and a touchdown in his only series, but San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4:30 to win 24-21. The Houghton alum hit rookie Michael Gallup for a 30-yard score to punctuate the opening drive. Bo Scarborough added a touchdown, and Prescott's backup, Cooper Rush, threw for a score. Houston rode 2 touchdown passes from Brandon Weeden to a 17-10 win over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Texan starter Deshaun Watson came out, played 1 series, completed his only pass for the evening for 4 yards. The NCAA denied an appeal by LSU defensive back Christian Fulton to be reinstated. He was given a 2-year suspension in 2017 for tampering with a drug test. He missed all of last year, but had hoped to join the Tigers this season. Head coach Ed Orgeron released a statement saying he was disappointed by the decision, but that LSU is going to continue to stick by Fulton. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
'17 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is out on vacay today. Got my buddy Dan Keel here.
And I'm supposed to tell you the number for the Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. And I was fussing after Jimmy LeBlanc was on
Were you?
earlier. Yeah, because he said something that bothers me. It's been bugging me ever since.
What?
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Ooh.
I pulled that list of people up who got out, the Caddo list that we got some months ago.
Yeah.
They all had the habitual offender put on them. They were all multiple offenders
They
already.
had second, third, fourth chances.
So maybe we're talking about 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know what? If you hurt me or someone I love, I don't know that I want you to get a second chance.
Well, you're supposed to forgive, but that doesn't mean you can't keep an eye on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of keeping an eye on things, in the Caddo Animal Shelter, there was an employee who, spotted something going on there that he didn't think was right or nor appropriate, and reported it to his supervisors, and says he was terminated because he was a whistleblower. You have now filed, and you're going to put on your lawyer hat now.
Right.
You have now filed a lawsuit on his behalf.
Well, when you asked me to come in today about 9:30 yesterday morning, you had no idea what I was doing.
No.
But I was putting the finishing touches on a lawsuit, which is Colin Sly versus Travis Clark, Dr. Wilson, and the parish of Caddo. I looked at my laws and my rules, what I can say and what I can't say.
Sure.
My client, Colin Sly, has made a whistleblower suit against those people and the parish because of violations he alleges of 23:967 and 42:1169. Those are the whistleblower statutes that he thinks are applicable through his lawyer. Basically, the allegations in the petition say that he had some concerns and some complaints that he took up the line, didn't get satisfaction, took him up to Dr. Wilson. Dr. Wilson told him on 3 separate occasions, "You're a good man for coming forward." I don't think I put the exact quotes in there, but basically, encouraged him to continue what he was doing, including taking pictures of things that were going on that were wrong at the shelter.
Ooh, okay.
Then he had a little dispute with Travis Clark, the new director, according to the allegations of the petition, and on his way home, learned that he was no longer going to be working there.
They called him, said he's been fired.
Yeah, he worked through a temporary service, but the allegation in the petition is that he's still an employee, a public employee, and these statutes apply.
But are we not an at-will state? You can fire somebody whenever you want?
We're not going to discuss contract law or that area at all. These particular statutes, I'm allowed to say under our professional conduct rules, the claim involved or information in the public record, and it is under investigation still. Obviously, the parish has an opportunity, and the individuals have an opportunity to respond. I don't want to beat them up and try the case in media on Facebook or here, but I'm just telling you, because you asked me, it is a legitimate news issue.
Right.
People are asking about.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is that what is being alleged isn't like he was running to the boss every time he saw somebody take a handful of coffee stirs to the house or anything like that. He
was alleging violations of law. He was alleging some things to do with payroll. He was alleging a number of things that we obviously think there's a basis for in the allegations that we made to trigger those 2 statutes.
Now, Donna Frazier obviously will be representing the parish.
Well, she may farm it out. Who knows?
Right.
But they haven't had an opportunity to respond. If you were to ask them today, they haven't read it yet or whatever. And so that's, like I say, I answered.
You just filed it yesterday?
I just filed it yesterday. I answered your questions because it is a legitimate news thing. You didn't know when you asked me to come in I was even going to be here and have this.
No, I had no clue.
Have this happen because I keep my professional lawyer.
Yeah, we don't talk about what you're doing.
Pretty much, like I'm supposed to do, away from public eye.
Let me ask you this though. They're going to claim he was fired for legitimate reasons, obviously. I mean, when they defend the lawsuit, they're going to say, we fired this guy because he did A, B, or C. You would assume, correct?
I don't assume anything, and I don't want to talk about what they might do. I'm just saying what I did do yesterday, because my client has asked me, because his concern is straightening up the shelter, and he calls it a pound. He wants it to become a shelter. They killed hundreds of animals each month because we have a problem in Shreveport.
Right.
And until we cure the part of the problem, it's going to be education in the communities to keep that from happening. But part of it, and that's the problem in the community, this is their facility. This is a government facility, but it's not Barksdale Air Force Base or Fort Polk.
Right.
And so we need to have openness. We need to have accountability. And I said yesterday, we need to know every animal that comes in there and leaves there, what happened to it.
Yeah. Dan KEEL, local attorneys, filed lawsuit on behalf of a whistleblower at the Caddo Animal Shelter. More on that's coming up. Also, Barry Regula, the general manager of Margaritaville Resort and Casino. Huge plans in the local gaming world. We'll talk with him about that coming up right here on 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Right now, the Rubinator.
Keeping an eye right now on some minor slowdowns at the intersection of Uri Drive and East Kings Highway, and we're still keeping a close eye on that heavy backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
of information. KEEL News now.
In the midst of heavy criticism towards Governor John Bel Edwards and his push for criminal justice reform, Caddo DA James Stewart says the plan is a good idea, but the state needs more resources. Stewart says the bill passed thanks to a bipartisan effort, but for criminal justice reform to really work and make a difference, promised programs need to be implemented. Stewart says that this is not a one-year fix, but could be a long-term solution with community support and adequate funding. Now, Governor Edwards visited with President Trump to talk about criminal justice reform. One result of the reforms in our state was a major drop in the total prison and supervised population. Louisiana lost one of its more infamous monikers. Now, when Edwards relayed that bit of information, the president perked up.
For the first time in 20 years, I can tell you Louisiana does not have the highest incarceration rate in the nation today. And it's paying dividends for us, and we're reinvesting the savings. Oklahoma.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Edwards was the only elected Democrat at the meeting of governors, attorney generals, and other officials from across the country. A Pound whistleblower suing for wrongful termination. Colin Sly is suing the Caddo Parish Animal Shelter, claiming the director, Travis Clark, and parish administrator, Woody Wilson, fired him after bringing several problems he saw at the shelter to their attention. Sly says Wilson praised him for his bravery for speaking up, but ultimately terminated him for doing so. This is day 3 for Bossier students. Superintendent Scott Smith telling KEEL News his staff's been busy recruiting teachers.
We're always after the very best, because if we get the best teachers, we know they're going to provide the very best education for our kids.
Now, Smith rode with youngsters on an unair-conditioned bus on the first day of school. He tells KEEL News 53% of the buses have air, and those are used on the longer rural routes. Anthony Carmody, brother of State Rep Thomas Carmody, has died after being found at the bottom of a pool over the weekend. According to police, Carmody was found in a pool at the home of local businessman Will Broyles. Carmody was on life support until Wednesday evening. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death is ongoing. His funeral to be held tomorrow at St. John's. A man clings to life after being shot early today. It happened on Fairfax Avenue. Officers say the victim was driving when someone opened fire on his vehicle. 3 state troopers who took a side trip to Vegas during former Superintendent Mike Edmondson's tenure and allegedly had themselves a night on the town at the state's expense have had their disciplinary sentences reduced by the Civil Service Commission. Metropolitan Crime Commission President Raphael Goneche says that's highly disappointing.
All they did was weaken the image of that organization in the eyes of the people of Louisiana.
Edmondson's case, meantime, to be heard later this year in federal court. Firefighters battling a wildfire threatening thousands of homes in the foothills south of L.A. that authorities say was intentionally set. Homeowners are wetting their homes, and aircraft turned hillsides red with retardant Thursday as flames came perilously close to some of the homes. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is out on vacation. Got my buddy Dan Keel here.
Hey.
And we're joined by Barry Regula. He is the general manager of the Margaritaville Resort and Casino. And dude, I'm seeing some major improvements. New owners coming in. You guys are, what the heck's going on over there?
Well, yes, we are being acquired by Penn National Gaming. We have been working on all kinds of projects prior to their acquisition of our property. We've looked at the land to the north of us, and we saw potential to add some amenities, expand our hotel, and then under the new Louisiana gaming laws, there's the opportunity to add some land-based gaming. So we're trying to get some ideas together for all of that.
Have you filed any paperwork with the Gaming Control Board yet for the expansion of gaming?
No, that process won't begin until the beginning of next year. The Gaming Control Board is working on promulgating rules for those kind of applications, and then once those rules are set in stone, properties will be able to apply. There are properties that have expressed interest, but there's no process yet established for applying to go land-based.
Okay.
So we'll see those rules here sometime in the fourth quarter, and then early next year I expect people will start their applications.
Okay, Barry, you got on your plan Top Golf sort of driving range called Big Shots Golf. For folks who are not familiar with that, what is that? Explain that.
Okay, well, Big Shots Golf, we actually hold a license reservation for this area for Big Shots Golf. They are a facility that uses Doppler radar instead of a microchip like Topgolf uses. So their Doppler radar technology allows them to show the flight of the ball on a monitor, kind of like if you're watching CBS Top Tracker during the PGA. And then you have a variety of games that you can play that involve driving towards the target, or maybe playing a simulation of a other golf course, something like that. So there's 42 tee boxes. You can rent the tee box by the hour, and then there's food and beverage available right at your tee box, delivered directly to your tee box. Very popular concept that's been kind of taking the golf industry by storm.
Talking with Barry Regula, he's the general manager of Margaritaville Resort Casino in Bossier City. Also talking about an outdoor amphitheater. We heard a lot of talk about this when gambling first came to town. Nobody really did it. Now you're talking about it. How close is this to becoming a reality?
Well, this is something we've kicked around with the city of Bossier. They said, look, if you're going to do some of these improvements, we could work together on developing this amphitheater that you would manage. And it's 2,500 seats, 500 seats undercover, 2,000 seats on the lawn. That would be a tremendous addition to the Bossier City entertainment scape, because you could bring in larger bands, and we're able to have at our casino, and then use the facility for a lot of civic events as well. So we have a beautiful design done by Mike McSwain that kind of evokes the Cyber Innovation Center, and we think that this would be a great addition to Bossier City.
What's the other plan with regard to your hotel expansion?
Well, we're tentatively calling them the villas at Margaritaville. Each and every room would be a beautiful 650 square foot suite. They would have views of the river. They would sort of leverage the whole river view aspect of the of our facility, and then allow a connection to the hotel, and be a place for our very best guests to enjoy Margaritaville from.
What's the timetable on all this happening, Barry?
Well, we do have our new ownership coming in, and they will need to prioritize how they want to stagger these projects. If everything goes according to plan, the plan that we've developed, we would probably begin construction on the golf facility early next year, and then bring it online in probably the beginning of 2020 or the end of 2019. And then the hotel an amphitheater would probably come on concurrently.
We're talking to Barry Regula, Margaritaville's Senior Vice President and General Manager. This company, Penn, also owns Boomtown. Is that accurate?
Well, they will own Boomtown. They don't own Boomtown yet.
Okay.
They're acquiring all the assets of Pinnacle Entertainment, who also has Boomtown in New Orleans, LaBerge in Baton Rouge, and LaBerge in Lake Charles.
Will there be some joint operations between the two? Then, if they keep both of you in the same market.
Sure, I think we could be very complementary, similar to how Horseshoe and Diamond and LA Downs works together. We would definitely work together in a complementary fashion. We're a little more regional, national, bringing in people from farther away, and I think Boomtown's a little more local. So I think we could actually be very complementary there.
Do you anticipate management changes at either?
Well, all of that remains to be seen. I mean, we're early in the game here with the properties kind of coming on board, and Penn, of course, they'll be. I believe they'll have the most properties of any regional gaming company in the United States at the time that they acquire Pinnacle and us. So there will be probably some different arrangements. They'll have the most casinos in Louisiana, for example. Mm-hmm. So I imagine there'll be some kind of regional management structure coming on board.
Do you see any road construction changes with the access, with you building the new facilities?
Well, I think there would have to be. We've kicked some things around with the city about improving access, just the way things are now. And I think if you have an amphitheater, a golf facility, and more hotel rooms, we'll probably need to find a way to get people in and out better than we do now.
Mm. Barry Regula, I think, and I've been here the whole time since gambling came. I think this is the biggest game changer since it started. It looks to be. You feel that way too?
Well, yeah, I was in the market before because I used to be at Boomtown, and then really since Hollywood came online, and then of course changed to El Dorado, there really hasn't been any large development until Margaritaville came on 5 years ago, and we haven't stood still at all. We've made some fairly substantial changes to our existing property, and then we started looking for ways to continue to grow our business. We've been growing market share for 15 consecutive quarters, and we don't want that to stop. So you can't stand still. You got to keep improving and innovating.
Barry, I can't thank you enough for your time. Barry Regula, General Manager, Margaritaville Resort Casino, Bossier City. Thanks for your time. Look forward to all the improvements.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. We'll stay in touch.
You bet. Appreciate it very much. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. We're going to be joined by a local pediatrician, Dr. Neera Shabra, coming up in the next couple of minutes. Type A flu outbreak. There are some that are saying it's here already. She's going to kind of explain flu generalities. That's coming up next. Right now, here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye right now on some minor slowdowns at the intersection of Uri Drive and East Kings Highway, and we're still keeping a close eye on that heavy backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Robert and Erin in the morning. Robert is on vacay today. Got my buddy Dan Keel here.
We're specializing in foot-to-mouth coordination.
Yes. I'm not good at that, by the way. We've got local pediatrician Dr. Neera Shabra, a special guest this hour. Thank you so much for getting us in your busy schedule. I know you got a lobby full of patients, probably.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Erin.
I got a couple of texts and some calls this morning about several daycares are seeing lots of youngsters with the diagnosed cases of type A flu. And whatever type it is, it seems to me it's a little early for flu. Am I wrong?
It is early, relatively speaking. However, we have seen flu at all different times of the year. It's just a little less prevalent during August and September.
What are you seeing in your office with regard to flu right now?
We have not had any cases of flu in our office thus far, but we hear there are other offices that have seen an occasional case of it.
For the folks that are telling me it's type A flu, tell us about that flu. How's it transmitted, et cetera?
Basically, they're transmitted the same way, whether it's A or B or whatever, and it's generally spread by droplet infections, such as, a child coughing in your face. It can also be spread by a touch, like contaminated hands and mouth or whatever else. So basically, close contact with anyone with the flu can cause you to get it.
And the symptoms of the flu, type A or B, it's very much the same, correct?
They are very similar, yes.
How will it present in children?
Well, children usually present with fever. They may have some cough, runny nose. They just feel bad. They can be listless. They decrease appetite. However, if it's a very mild case, it may be just a little fever and nothing else. So it's a spectrum of symptoms that they can present with, depending on how ill they are.
How concerning is it to you as a pediatrician to hear that we've got cases already and school is just getting back into session where this can start spreading pretty quickly, right?
Yes, it definitely is a concern, and I would urge everyone to call their doctor and see about getting your child immunized. That's the most important.
It's not too early to get that flu shot, right?
It's not too early because there's already cases out there.
And what do we know so far? We're talking to Dr. Neera Shabra, local pediatrician. What do we know about the flu vaccine this year? Is it going to protect against all the strains?
The vaccine basically has 4 strains this year. There is an injectable form mainly, which is recommended. However, if there is a child or a person who absolutely refuses to take a shot, then they can take the nasal vaccine as well. That nasal spray is going to be available as well. However, they say that the injectable form may be a better choice.
Doc, there are a lot of folks who, when we get the flu, we don't go see the doctor. We just, stay in bed, drink our soup, and try to get beyond it. Who should go into the doctor if they believe they have the flu?
Number one is anyone who is at high risk, such as young children, older people, say over age 50 or 55, and then anyone who has an underlying chronic disorder, such as asthma, diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, whatever. If they have anything underlying chronic, they should definitely go see the doctor. But, of course, anyone who feels really bad or has an unexplained illness, they should go see the doctor.
And do you have any advice to educators, principals, on how to keep their schools safe from the flu spreading? Are there some things they can do at schools today?
Number one, they should promote vaccination. Number two, hand hygiene and droplet cough. Someone has a bad cough, they must teach them how they should cough into a tissue or into their elbow or arm. And number 3, if anyone has symptoms such as fever or feeling bad and cough, they should definitely be told to stay home and go see the doctor.
Dr. Neera Shabra, local pediatrician, thanks so much for your time. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you, Erin.
You bet. Take care. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin in the morning. We're going to have Kim Commando coming up in just a couple of minutes. No, we're not. Oh, American Ground. I'm sorry. Stephen and the boys. They're on the way. Right now, here's Ruben.
The intersection at Olive Street and Line Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
If you've got an appliance that is acting up, it is goofy, making some crazy noises, you know, all that sort of stuff, let me tell you about the folks that can come to your home, take care of your problem. It's Twin City Appliance. They fix washers, dryers, refrigerators, your ice, whatever appliance you got in your home that is acting up, Twin City Appliance can take care of it. Even factory warranty repairs can be done as well. If you've got something goofing up, give Twin City Appliance a call today, 318-688-0253, or check them out online, twincityappliance.com.
You're listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
Last year, the New York Times published a list of 106 things they said the President of the United States lied about. But after careful analysis, it turns out 69 of those items were things the New York Times was lying about.
An average headline, Stephen, is probably only about 6 to 10 words in length, and half of us are only reading the headlines. And when you factor in that the headlines were seemingly written intentionally by the mainstream media elites to mislead or confuse us, you've got a mess on your hands.
The reason people aren't trusting the media anymore is because the media hasn't been trustworthy.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
Keeping an eye right now on a little bit of backed up traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near McDade Street and Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have a couple of showers and a thunderstorm today, especially for the afternoon and evening. Otherwise, more clouds than sun with a high of 88. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.